Thank you, Prime Minister Erdogan, for a very comprehensive and I must say, quite newsy response. Let me turn now to Secretary General Amr Moussa, and the same question: how do we put this peace process back together after Gaza? And perhaps you could address the two things that Secretary General Ban focused on. First, how to achieve unity among the Palestinians, and second, what this new American administration can most usefully do as George Mitchell begins making his way around the region.
Well, thank you very much. Let me begin by thanking the Secretary General of the United Nations for the forceful position he has taken and for the actions he is calling for in order to save the situation in Gaza, to save Gaza after the carnage that has been committed against its people. Also, I wish to commend the role played by Turkey, a very positive, courageous and clear role that Turkey, a member of the Middle East family of nations, want to help establish peace and to help deal with the major mistakes that have been committed against the Palestinians, and to ask for, work for a fair, a just peace in order for peace to be durable. Now, David, you asked me to talk about the future and how we would address it. This cannot make me sweep things under the carpet, things that belong to the near future and also to perhaps distant future. The situation in Gaza was not a reaction. The assault against the Gazans was not just a reaction for some rockets being launched against southern Israel. And here I would open some brackets to say that we are against anything that would affect children, women, civilians, be them Palestinians or Israelis. And then continue to say that this situation in Gaza and in Palestine is a situation of foreign military occupation. So people and siege and blockade. Gaza is living within a blockade, a very severe one. The West Bank is under military occupation with barriers, with colonies, that's settlements. So the Palestinians are trying to express themselves, to find a future for themselves. You cannot ask people in Gaza living in starvation and hunger because of the blockade, the very sinister blockade, and then ask them to be calm and ask them, why do you throw stones against your occupiers? It is against the nature of people. Against the nature of people. You strangle them, you starve them, and then ask them to be quiet. And then, as has been discussed now, the question of smuggling. Of course, smuggling is illegal, illicit trade and the illicit movement of things, commodities and so on, including perhaps arms. You strangle them, not a single window of opportunity, and then talk to them about illicit trade. If you want to prevent this, you have to open the crossing points. You have to give them food. You have to give them water, to give them medicine. It is a miserable life that the Palestinians have lived and until now are living in Gaza because of the blockade that Israel has imposed on them for 3 years now. Number two, another fact. The Palestinians believed the call for democracy. There was some policies, international policies at certain time calling on the Middle East, apply democracy. Democracy is the solution for everything, and it happens that I agree with that. The Palestinians believed the advice, ran elections, Hamas won, and half an hour, 25 minutes after the announcement of the results of the election, Hamas was served notice that aid will be suspended, and then came the blockade, a severe blockade, and hence Hamas was put on the defensive. But very much, as Prime Minister Erdogan has said, the people in Gaza are not only Hamas. It's only an organization among other organizations, but the people, 1.5 million people, of women, of children, of old people, they were attacked and they paid the price for this game that is going on between Israel, Hamas, and the game that has been caused, as is being caused until now, by the military occupation. Why Hamas was listened to in the occupied territories, within the Palestinian ranks, in the Middle East, within the Arab world? Why? Because it has a logic. They said, all right, President Abu Mazen, go and negotiate. And if there is something useful coming out of your negotiations, we will certainly support you. And in fact, they are on record as having said, we are ready to accept a Palestinian state within the borders of 1967, but we are not going to sign any paper until we see what is the result of that. So, President Abu Mazen didn't bring anything. Did not bring anything out of 1 full year of negotiations with the current Israeli government. That is what he said. He is on record as having said that. And in fact, he said it on this stage last year. I believe it was the Prime Minister Salam Fayyad. So this is the situation. It is not a question of Israel reacting to some rockets. It is much deeper than that. It is an action of occupation, an action of blockade, then a reaction of resistance, then the reaction of destruction carried out by Israel. Okay, that has happened. Are we going to stop here and the end of the world will occur? No. Perhaps all of us now are called upon to save the situation. As the Secretary General has just said, there are 3 or 4 things that have to be done. A ceasefire, a strong ceasefire, sustainable ceasefire, opening of the crossings, stopping the illicit traffic, and the conciliation between the Palestinians. That we have to do. And I want you to know that I do not absolve ourselves on the Arab side from also committing mistakes. But no mistake we have committed can compete with the major mistake that has been committed by Israel in destroying Gaza and killing all those people in only 20 days. Again, we try to involve the United Nations rather than to involve shooting and more bloodshed. Unfortunately, in the last several years, up until this January, and it was before January 20th, the philosophy was, no, keep the Security Council away. Give Israel a chance to do what they were set to do. We have witnessed that back in 2006 in Lebanon, and we witnessed that back this January in New York. But this is a long story. I don't think the time will allow us to do so, to explain it in full. Now, what should we do? We have a new administration in the United States. What President Obama has said is reassuring. Change. He addressed the Arab world through one of our major channels called Al Arabiya from Dubai, addressed us and talked to us. We listened, we heard, we understood. He sent his special envoy, Senator Mitchell, who is a very reasonable man. We discussed with him, we are going to discuss again with him, and I believe there are those prospects of the United States returning back to the role of honest broker, which we missed for the last several years. This is a key point for the future, that the United States gets back to the role of honest broker that listens to this side and say, yes, you are right on this, but you are wrong on that, and to the other side too, the same. This we have not seen in the last several years. Okay, now this is the first positive point. We hope that we are right in our assessment and in our hopes. The second is the Arab Initiative. We are ready. Formally, officially, at the highest level, all of us are committed to establish peace with Israel, to recognize Israel, to normalize with Israel, and to carry on all our commitments in accordance with Security Council resolutions, the Madrid Conference decisions, and whatever agreements we have signed with that has been signed between any Arab country and Israel. We are ready for that. But the point is that we have not received any answer from Israel for the last 7 years. President Peres is a very eloquent man. He says that we accept, but this is just a good expression of words. There is no authorized decision taken by the government of Israel to respond to the most authorized message sent by an Arab summit held back in 2002. So our position is fully authorized. We haven't gotten any answer whatsoever, except some utterances here. We read it in some newspapers or translation from them. So we call on Israel now. What is your position on this initiative? Formal position, not just a statement here, formal position, as our position also was formal. If there is an acceptance, authorized acceptance by Israel, then we are on the right track. Therefore, the second point is for us to receive a formal reply about the acceptance of the Arab initiative, which calls on us Arabs to turn the page of the conflict, recognize Israel, normalize with Israel, and have Israel as part of the family of nations in the Middle East, which until now Israel is not. But if Israel also withdraws, allows the Palestinian state to be established, withdraws from the other territories, we see no obstacle for us and for the Israelis to live together and get our act together. When are we going to receive this message? A question mark. The third point,
Secretary General,
okay,
if we have a chance to get a response from the President of Israel, and maybe this is a good time to do that since we're running short of time.
I know that the President is going to take all his time, so you give me 2 more minutes, please.
I don't want to bargain.
We will be all ears to listen to President Peres.
Well, let's do wrap.
Now, the year 2009. We lived the year 2008 with a lot of promises, and it ended up in a bloodshed. For us to move from an administration to the other, from the year 2000 to the year 2008, then 2009, then 2010, then 2011, this is a gimmick that we are not going to accept. That is why. Now, we are in 2009. If there is real intention, the real work done by the honest broker, the political will be expressed by Israel in favor of peace, and progress will be made, then we are on the right track. If this year ends, we reach the day 31st of December as we did in 2008 without any result, then we'll have to reconsider. There are a lot of other alternatives, but I believe in what Turkey is saying, and Prime Minister Recep Erdogan said, we cannot reach, and Israel cannot reach any of its goals through military means. We need to have a political settlement, but a fair one, and in the year 2009. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Secretary General Moussa. And now